Welcome everybody to Forza Motorsport 7, and today we're taking a look at the 2009 Pontiac Solstice GXP. Now this was produced between 2005 and 2009, initially only available as a roadster, but in 2009 this coupe became available. And yeah, this is a GXP version, which means it's not only the top of the line version of the car, but it is also the performance version of the car. And as a result, this comes with a limited slip differential and anti-lock brakes, as well as more performance from under the hood. And yeah, it's a big shame really that this car was part of the reason, well, part of Pontiac when they went bust. If it had been released 10 years before, you would have had a really good sports car by the time that Pontiac did eventually go bust, because yeah, they only had about 4 years to really develop this car, and that was nowhere near enough time to really make it as competitive as some of the European rivals. But there is still plenty going for this, and a big part of that is what is under the hood. Now, the standard version had a 2.4 litre inline-4 engine. This only has a 2 litre inline-4 engine, but because it has a turbocharger on it, that means you get 260 horsepower and 260 pounds-feet of torque. That's 83 horsepower more than the standard version, as well as 94 pounds-feet of torque more as well. So, yeah, really rather powerful engine, and in fact, it was the most powerful car GM had made per cubic inch at that time. 2.1 horsepower per cubic inch, which is, yeah, really rather a phenomenal amount of power, quite frankly, and it is still to this day, quite frankly, because yeah, there's not many 2 litre cars that have this kind of power even from today. So yeah, really rather impressive. And yeah, even more impressive is the fact that it only weighs 3,018 pounds, which, if you know your American cars, are usually a lot heavier than that. So yeah, that's an incredible amount of weight, which is a lot less than certain other manufacturers that this car would be competing against, like the BMW Z4. The only rear-wheel drive front-engine sports car I can think of from the time that is lighter than this is a Honda S2000, but this has more power than that and more torque, so yeah, it's got one over it on that regard. And yeah, it's also got 50-50 weight distribution, and yeah, a fairly decent interior, which again isn't all that common for American cars from the period. But yeah, got a nice leather and red stitching. You got a nice bit of chrome around the dials there, and yeah, fair decent amount of space as well. Thankfully though, I don't think did they try and cram rear seats into the back of this? I can't tell whether or not if they did or not. Oops, didn't mean to do that. But yeah, pretty sure they didn't manage to get rear seats in the back of there. No, they didn't, which is always a good thing. I hate it when small sports cars like this try and cram 2 seats in the back, because there's just no reason for it. But it doesn't exactly have the biggest boot though either, and yeah, neither the widest of openings. But then again, this is a sports car. It's not meant to be practical. It's meant to be a fun car to drive, and yeah, with all that horsepower on tap, with all that torque, and the fact it's got 50-50 weight distribution and really not much in the way of weight, this is, yeah, a fairly fun car to drive. Can't say that I'm a massive fan of the way it looks, but like I said, if it had more time to be in production, then yeah, it would have eventually, I assume, have gotten better looks. But yeah, what is underneath is what counts, and yeah, this does have a lot going for it. So yeah, let's get out to the open onto the track and see what it can do. Right, we're at Laguna Seca, because unlike a lot of American cars, even a lot of Pontiacs, this is a car that not only has straight line speed on its side, but also pretty good handling as well. And yeah, that's one of the reasons why I like this car so much, because even though I'm not a fan of the looks, and yeah, there certainly is more powerful European cars from around the time, this has a fairly decent amount of power and very little in the way of weight to go with it as well. So yeah, it's got that really good combination on the go for it, so yeah, making a really rather decent car to drive. And it's got a nice revving engine as well. That turbocharger doesn't seem to be the only reason it's getting any power at all. It's got a really nice growl to it. My only real complaint is why not have the 2.4 litre engine with the turbocharger, because then even surely you would get even more power. But there was a dealer option where you could bump it up by 30 horsepower by retuning the computer chip or whatever it is on these cars. So yeah, there was the option for more power, but this still has plenty going for it. And yeah, certainly enough to make it a pretty brisk sports car. And thankfully it has the handling to go with it. Sure, it does roll around a little bit, it's a little bit soft. Wouldn't really expect a hardcore sports car from around this time from America, but yeah, outside of that it's fairly decent. You can certainly feel the 50-50 weight distribution helping, because it's really rather nicely balanced, and yeah, you'd have to be really rather brutal with it to get any oversteer out of it, because it's got plenty of grip. And yeah, unlike a lot of cars that have turbochargers, it doesn't really have any turbo lag either. It's got power there pretty much all of the time, so yeah, fairly decent car in that regard, and the fact that it doesn't weigh all that much is certainly helpful, especially when you want to use as much of that power and torque as you want. So as a result, it can do 0 to 60 in 5.2 seconds, 0 to 113.083 seconds, and going to a top speed of 154 miles an hour. Now that 0 to 100 time isn't quite as impressive as some cars that it's a rival against, but that 0 to 60 time is easily a good time, especially even today, never mind back 10 years ago. So yeah, and the top speed is nearly as good as BMW's limited car, so yeah, on the whole it is a really good car, and it's just a shame that Pontiac got the can really after the recession and GM went bankrupt, because yeah, they had this and the G8 GXP as well going on for them as well. So yeah, if they never got canned, then they could have easily had a lot more time to produce this, a lot more time to develop it and make it a lot better, because yeah, it's on the cusp of being a great sports car. But as it is, it's a good sports car. Not quite got everything going for it like, you know, European rivals for instance, or Japanese rivals, because they tend to have the cars that look better, with better sounding engines with a bit more power. But yeah, it is a car that I really like, and it's unfortunately not a car that plenty of people appreciate, which is understandable, because Pontiac a few years before obviously made the Aztec, which was abysmal, as I have stated before when it was on Forza Motorsport 6. But yeah, with this and the G8 Sport Saloon, they were really on their A game in the last few years of their life. And yeah, like I said, it's a big shame that they got canned over the likes of Buick or any other smaller GM platform, because yeah, this was a really good car. The convertible version sold around 64,000, which was pretty successful for the few years that it was around, but unfortunately, because this coupe version only came in its last production year, only around 1,200 were made. So yeah, this coupe version is rare, and I imagine the GXB version of this coupe version that we just driven is even rarer, because yeah, the GXB wasn't, you know, the cheapest version to buy, obviously, because the slightly larger engine, less powerful version was the more common car to have purchased. But yeah, still a cracking car, and yeah, if you can find it, convertible or coupe version of this GXP, then yeah, you've got a really good sports car in your hands that is decently quick, and yeah, quite fun to drive as well. Big shame though, like I said, that they never got the chance to continue it. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.